It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Macbeth. William Shakespeare. So far, this has been the only authenticated portrait of the legendary bard that brought us 38 plays and countless sonnets and poems. What does that have to do with you? More than you probably think. If you are not a fan of his works, then you'll be surprised to find out how much they actually influenced our culture today. How, do you ask? Well, we'll get to that. Let's start out with something simpler. His plays, then and now. The way theater is approached has drastically changed over the years. Back then, most of his plays were performed in a theater called the Globe. This is a drawing of what it supposedly looked like. The social classes were separated into the different levels. Most of the people could not see the play, only hear it. Scenery, props, and blocking were scarce. The costumes were elaborate, as pictured here in this table scene during James I's rule. Also, this is the coat worn by Edwin Booth as Richard III around the second half of the 19th century. And finally, this is the snake girdle for Cleopatra, late 19th century. The difference between his plays then and today is that we have a different way of watching the story. This is Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, only in movie format.
You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well, it now appears you need my help.
Shakespeare wrote The Merchant of Venice between 1596 and 1597. That was the 2004 movie adaptation. Back then, people went to shows for the same reason that we do today. They wanted to be entertained. They wanted to laugh at some good jokes and see some good violence. This is a fight scene from the 1944 movie adaptation of Henry V. So far, the adaptations have stayed in Shakespeare's time period, even though it was on the big screen. One of the more interesting versions of Romeo and Juliet is set in a more modern time. Pictured here is the death scene from Shakespeare's play. This is Romeo's last monologue from the 1996 movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
My wife, death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks, and death's pale flag is not advanced there.
Although the way his works are presented has changed, his works remain the same. Believe it or not, his plays are the starting point for countless others to create new and exciting things, which takes me to my next point. Illusions of illusions. A lot of the things we see in the entertainment business nowadays have been inspired by Shakespeare. Some of the connections to his works are clearer than others. The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged is a play that takes all of his plays and crams them all into a 97-minute-long parody. It was at the Criterion Theatre for 10 years, making it London's longest-running comedy. There is also a movie called Shakespeare in Love, which is about William Shakespeare. This is a clip from the 1999 movie.
Words, words, words. Once I had the gift. I can make love out of words as a potter makes cups of clay. Love that overthrows empires. Love that binds two hearts together come hell, fire, and brimstone. For 6 pence a line, I could cause a riot in a nunnery.
Shakespeare's influence doesn't just pertain to plays, movies, and television shows. He also had an impact on our music culture. The song Love Story by Taylor Swift contains lyrics that talk about Romeo and Juliet.
That you were Romeo, you were throwing pebbles, and my daddy said stay away from Juliet.
One of the more obscure connections to William Shakespeare is the musical All Shook Up. There are some parallels between the stories. For example, in All Shook Up, the main character is a young woman named Natalie. She dresses up as a guy named Ed. In both Twelfth Night or What You Will and As You Like It, the female lead dresses up as a man as well. Viola is Cesario and Rosalind is Ganymede. Also in All Shook Up, there are two characters that fall in love but are forbidden to be together, just like Romeo and Juliet. His plays weren't the only thing that were copied. His style was as well, which brings me to my final point, the subplot system. The subplot system basically means that there is more than one plot happening simultaneously. We see this every day. For example, take the television show House. Most of the time there are two or more plots happening at once. There's a story with the patient and whatever House is going through personally. It parallels Shakespeare's Henry IV Part 1. There's the story with the rebellion, and then there's the plot about Hal and his friends. Both stories contain a more serious plot, while adding in some personal flair. That is the subplot system at work, and Shakespeare was one of the first to master this device. Without it, stories would revolve around the same character and the same story all of the time. This was a short glimpse into the legacy William Shakespeare left behind. His plays remain, although in a different light. New works have come to be with a little inspiration from the Bard. Also, his use of the subplot system made media what it is today. So the next time you see a movie, see if you can find the connection to Shakespeare.